Hello and welcome. This is DJ Nocturna. Welcome to my channel. If you are listening and watching, please like, subscribe, and share. I have the composer extraordinaire from Belgium, Jean-Marc
Hold
Lederman.
hold on.
I knew you're
Okay,
gonna.
now I'm extraordinaire.
You're extraordinaire, extraordinaire.
I'm very ordinary. Yeah.
Wow, you always come up with this most amazing, like inventive, creative things, projects.
Well,
And
I mean, we need to do that in order not to get bored. And when you open the TV and watch the news, you just can't take it. So you need to be able to provide something and show that maybe your own little mind can do something else than just being anxious about the world. So, maybe this is why I'm doing that.
yeah. So this is a new project. You always come up with so many. I cannot keep track, but this is a new one. It's called Sci-Fi Revisited, and
Yeah.
this is one of my favorite subjects, science fiction. I mean, it blows me away. I love when I read something about sci-fi. One of my favorite TV shows is The Twilight Zone, right? Nothing like
Absolutely.
it in the world. I mean, I don't think anything could ever be repeated when the Twilight Zone came out. I mean, I watched it as a child, and I grew up watching it. And I even had for one Halloween, I did the Mask of the Eye of the Beholder. That's one of my favorite episodes of the Twilight Zone. The one the that mask just blows me away. The way it looks. I mean, I could never forget it when I first saw it.
Oh, yeah.
And Rob Serling, who created the Twilight Zone, is just a man beyond words and before his time. And
It is amazing. It is amazing, and I think it provides a very fertile ground for the imagination of many people. And
mm,
maybe that's one of the reasons why they are so different that from the generation before is that you had stuff like that on TV, and it changed those kids. It changed those kids, and maybe this
yeah,
is why. Thank
that
you, Rod.
yeah. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of the kids now, they don't even know what the Twilight Zone is. I mean, I just want to buy them the you know the the box set because it's like
Yeah, but at the same time, they have other things that it's quite out there too.
yeah, yeah,
Like like the Spider-Man movies. The last Spider-Man movies
yeah,
were really out there. So I think they are being provided with interesting stuff to watch and grow on.
yeah. No, that's very true. My nephew, he loves all the sci-fi thing, and
Yeah.
and then here you are doing a new sci-fi revisit, which is wonderful. Before I go further to talk about that, I want to talk a little bit about you. I know you've worked with several bands, so Fad Gadget, Gene Loves Jezebel, of course the Weathermen,
Yeah,
and
the Rohn-Lederman with Emileigh
Dada, right,
and
right,
Chiasm. Yeah.
yeah, and of
And
course
Ghost and Rider with Frank from Seabound.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's so many, and of course your main project, Rohn-Lederman, the collaboration with Emily Rohn, which you've been on the show a few times, and if people want to check that out, it's on my YouTube channel with Jean-Marc and Emily Rohn, and by yourself in the beginning. I think that was I can't remember if that was just an audio, but yeah. So now you have this project, and I know that your son is involved in this too, right?
Yeah,
Your son.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Once the project was finished, we were thinking with Christian from Cop International
Mm-hmm.
about making it a little bit exciting, and we came up with some graphics, and we thought, why don't we go deeper? And this is why we made it very, very special. And you can't access the music unless you do a very simple video game. And once you've done the video games, the games open and you get into a room where you can download the tracks.
Mm.
Well,
Wow.
hopefully people will go that far. But it is strange to not have something on CD, but there's a physical side of it because on all the 10 tracks, there's a AI prompted by myself, AI picture
Mm-hmm.
of the track. And so they receive a book which is like a comics book, a pulp comic books from the 60s instead of
Yeah.
a CD.
I love
So
it. I totally love the images here of all these sci-fi images. Guardian of the Galaxies. There's a picture there with Jim Marcus, Emily Rohn, Squirrels from
Yeah.
Outer Space, and these are all the tracks, right?
Yeah, but I mean, if you ask AI to do stupid digital art cover, it's going to be boring and everybody does it. If you ask it to do something in the comics of the 50s, or the 60s, or the 70s spirit, and you can select those, you are pushing your human choice
Mhm.
towards some machinery who just pick things up. So you get really interesting effects and interesting results. And this is not very different from what the industrial musicians were doing in the 80s when we were sampling Prince or Janet Jackson, just because we couldn't get to have the right studio or the right sound or the right musical instruments. We use technology and we twist it.
Yeah, yeah. I totally love AI. I know it's I mean it's taken over the world. I don't think anybody can even uh say that, what's the point of using it? I mean, you have to use it. It's gonna be there. It's gonna take over.
Well,
And
the thing is,
it's already
yeah, once they come up with a way to make it equitable for everybody and all the creators,
Mm,
uh,
yeah.
a normal way of paying them, that'll be okay. But already there are software now that works against it by putting a pixel in your picture, and AI doesn't get it, doesn't understand it, and can't therefore use it. So, but anyway, I mean, usually AI doesn't, well, it doesn't scan the net.
Yeah.
It has a library of work that has been given to them, sold to them by the creators. So it's not that black and white.
Yeah. So tell me how did you come up with this project and this sci-fi revisited? What was the whole storyline behind that?
Well, there was the Belgian embassy in Paris who was doing a competition
Hmm.
for coming up with an interesting podcast. So I contacted Jean-Luc Demeyer from Front 242, good old pal, and asked him, well, would you be interested in doing a talkover on a story? And he said, yeah, sure. What about it? Yeah, sure, let's do it. So I wrote a story. And the story is, in fact, it's a kind of thinking about around the why haven't aliens visited us? Well, that's a theorem. There's 6 or 7 very scientific reasons why they haven't come up, or and so I did a story. The embassy refused it, and I thought, well, I'm not going to let that die on my hard disk. No way. So Jean-Luc was busy with Front 242, and I asked Jim Marcus if he wanted to do that, and that was the first track. Jim took it, rewrote it, and did an ad lib which lasted for 16 minutes. So I put all the music behind it and sounds effect and cut it because it was a bit too long. And there you are. There's the first story.
Oh yeah, yeah, I see that. Yeah. So do you want to talk a little bit about there's so many amazing artists in here and musicians doing all kinds of if you want to talk, I know there's Tom Shear from Assembly 23.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me take the order so I can come up. Yeah, Tom. Actually, that is something that I did with Tom back in 2015,
Uh-huh.
and I redid the entire music. And I thought, okay, this time let's make it very warmish and kind of loungy in a way. So I was imagining a band like in Star Wars bars, playing in the background, those
Oh.
kind of jazzy band. And but that was a bit too obvious, so I did it salsa mode. So it's a
Oh.
salsa.
Did
So
you know that Tom came to Hawaii?
I think I
Yeah,
can.
yeah, he did. Yeah, a few years, maybe like I don't know, maybe 5 years ago,
Mm,
7 years ago, maybe.
he's great and he's got an amazing voice
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
very, very talented. The next story is well, Christina Z. Christina Z wrote Witchblade. I don't know if people know that. The comics character, the female empowered female character named Witchblade. Christina Z did it. And I asked her if she had a story, a sci-fi story she could share with us. And I explained her the project. And she came up with that Titanium Ages story, which is about a a robot cyborg defending a human, a pale, frail human who's in the forest at night. So I won't kill the story. You have to listen to it. But she did
Yeah.
really well. And I, again, like with all the other tracks, I redid the soundtrack behind it. Jim Semonic then did a novel which is written originally by Jim Marcus called The Train. And I wanted it to be very casual, you know.
Yeah. And he's with Distortion Production, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Then, yeah, the most maybe one of the most ambitious track on it. It's with Mary Catman. We took a novel, a fast fiction novel written by Nina Miller. She's a young writer, and she gave us the right to use that story. And Mary did it with her daughter Mila, and with Tom in the role of the nun. So that was fun, and it was complicated because the action is in 3 different places. So I had to really kind of make it sound different in all those different places, different music and everything. The next track is well, it's me actually. It's the very famous 3 laws of robotics. I rewrote it, and there's now 3.5 laws of robotics. You have to listen to it. I'm not going to tell you what's happening. Then Emileigh came with a really great story. I was telling her about the project and say, "Would you write something?" Yes, and we were just like joking, and I said, well, "Can you write something about science fiction and squirrels?" She said, "Yeah, sure, I can write a science fiction about squirrels." So that's a story about squirrels.
Okay, but why squirrels?
Hmm?
Why squirrels?
Why? Why not?
Well, Emily is really
It's just
sci-fi.
it's
You know,
just the antithesis. It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
the antithesis of science fiction.
Oh, okay,
You
okay,
don't
okay,
imagine
okay.
that.
All right.
And one of the great thing about art is when you mix things that are not supposed to mix at the beginning, and you come up with great results.
Yeah, very
So
unique.
she, yeah. So she came up with that story, and
Uh,
it's a really funny story, and she does it very well. Then Ken Magaman did a Philip K. Dick story called "The Eyes Have It," which is all a play on words, which is really funny. And for that one, the background, I kind of recreated a dance hall reggae type of band,
oh.
dub thing. So
Mm-mm.
that's, I think, interesting. Then came the Das Sharp, who's got a punk band called Voltage, and now he's got an album coming out soon called Spurs of Grace. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and he did a novel called The Choice,
Mm.
which is about time travel, and there's a very funny twist in it.
Oh, I love time travel.
Then there's a track which is a poem by Ray Bradbury, and the last one is the first track we did, which is Jim Marcus' Guardians of the Galaxies. So
And
you have about 1 hour and 10 tracks.
Safira B.
Yeah, Safira
Yeah,
B
yeah,
appears at the end of that Jim Marcus track, and
yeah.
he didn't know about it. So he was quite surprised when he heard that the twisting moment at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy is his beloved Safira. So that was kind of fun, and
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I did an interview with her, and it's up on my YouTube channel if anybody want to check that out. But wow, this is just so amazing. I mean, this is so
Thank you.
different, and it's kind of meditative too, when you listen to something like this. You can go on a musical journey in the mind just by listening to the vocals and to the background and to the sounds, right? Yeah.
Well, everybody takes what they want out of music. I don't know. For me, I know that people seem to think that the music is more not laid back, but a bit more calm than how I hear it. So, people take it the way they want it. Well, what I know is that I want to propose something which is fun and different. That's all.
Yeah,
So if I can take some meditative aspect out of it, all the best.
yes, yeah. It's almost like going to another portal, right? Uh,
Yes,
so
maybe.
tell us about. I know that it comes with a book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, instead of the CD, you've got a book which has all the cut, all the image of the book. Let me take one.
Okay.
So that is the book.
Oh,
It's a
wow.
12-page book. It's got the credits at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And for every story, there's an illustration that's Tom Shear.
Oh, wow.
But it's all
Collectible.
reversed. But anyway, you see what I mean. Christina Z.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's such a
Recently,
collectible.
Mara Shear.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
story is in the market somewhere in space, so that fits very well. My little 3.5 law of robotics. Emileigh, that's the squirrels from outer space. Ken Magaman, the eyes have it.
Oh, yeah, look at those eyes. Mm.
That's sharp. His novel is about time travel, so. And Julian Reagan for the poem of Red Bradbury, and Jim Marcus. Jim Marcus is the last one. So yeah, it comes with this instead of the boring CD that everybody got.
Yeah, and you
And
know what?
I
And
say you have there's a game. I mean, there's a video game. Once you buy the album, you get an email telling you to go to a secret website where you have to go through that game. It's really funny. It's really funny.
it's like going to another time, another portal, and then you have to go there.
Well, it is going to to something that we try to make completely ours. Ours meaning me and the people who made the record, the album, and the people who visit it and want to listen to it and have a full experience. And in it, there's actually this lab. There's a picture of the lab where you go in the game, and
Oh, look at that.
you see all the lamps on the TV. And if you want to listen to the track, you push the lamps. And
Oh,
once a lamp is
photo
pushed,
video
you
game.
play
I love it. I
stuff like that,
love it. It's great. So
Thank you.
who did the graphics and the design of all of the different photo images?
Well, I mean, the lab and the game was made by my son,
Uh-huh.
who has a company dealing with software and
I know I clicked
prototype
on that,
software.
but I kind of it's all in different language. So I couldn't.
Well, it is called the French. So he did that, and as usual with those kind of projects, it started as an image and it finished with a lot of things to do and work
Mhm.
and complete experience, which goes well with the name of Jean-Marc Lederman experience. So that is quite fitting too. And I did the prompting for the images in the
Mhm.
book.
So this is gonna be released on February 2nd, I believe. Is that
This
right?
is released on February 2nd on COP
Up
International, and you buy
National?
it
Mhm.
through Badcamp.
Yeah. Big
And
shout out to
once you get
Christian.
it, hmm?
No, I was gonna say big shout out to Christian from COP.
Yes.
Yeah.
And once you buy it on Badcamp, you get taken to the rabbit hole with an email, and it's an entire little experience, which is really fun to do.
Oh, you always think of everything. That's
I
amazing.
try. I try.
And you're doing this at a time when Pluto just hit like Aquarius. So Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, which is outer space, and all this stuff you're doing is pretty much what it is. So I think it's an interesting collaboration and very very imaginative. Like you're always up to something.
Well, I try not to be bored, and I try to come up with ideas. And the funny thing is that the idea come up and you don't know where. I used to be very worried about not having ideas for making songs or album anymore, and before, and I don't have that anymore. I just know that the idea will come. Hopefully not too late, but the idea will come, and there's
No,
always
it's
something funny
perfect
to do.
timing.
Mm.
Actually, perfect timing for this. Actually, I think it's great. I mean,
Thank
so if
you.
anybody wanna go to your page, I mean, it's on Bandcamp and of course copint.com, right? What's the best way to access that? Is that the best way?
Well, the best way is a Badcamp and then type Jean-Marc Lederman experience or
Oh,
sci-fi revisited, and it takes you to the page. You can't miss it, really.
yeah.
I mean, if you're trying, you can't miss it. Of course, you can miss it if you don't try, but it should be quite easy to do. Or on Facebook again, COP International will
Right,
take
right.
you.
Wow. So I'm sure next year you have another project.
Well, actually, I have projects this year because there's a Ron Lederman album coming out
Oh,
in the
uh-huh.
springtime,
Yeah.
plus a little surprise I'm preparing. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's always something cooking, you know.
Yeah,
This
something
is
cooking in
this
the
is what we do, you know. This is what we artists do. We make
the-
stuff
I guess that's what
happening.
they do in Belgium, huh?
Well, I'm sure they do it all over the globe. This is especially
I
here.
always see your little bike, your motorcycle.
Mm,
Yeah.
I enjoy that. I enjoy the but I enjoy the engine and the wind in the face and stuff like that. I know it sounds very cliche, but motorbike is the modern man's meditation.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I go on my bike and I've got troubles or question, when I come back, usually I've moved along the idea or along the problem, and I thought about it. I didn't think about it too much because I was focused on riding the bike, but still it gave my brain something to think, something different to think about, and makes me fresher.
Yeah, and I'm glad you got your son involved. Kevin, right? That's his name.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you got him involved in this project too, which is great.
yeah. So I think he did great.
Yeah, yeah. Well, gosh, I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of the tracks and
But I
see.
just I just send them to you again.
Yes, thank you very much. It's called the Jean-Marc Lederman Experience, Sci-Fi Revisited. So if you're all into sci-fi, which I am, you take that journey, musical journey, the space journey. It will take you to the galaxy of endless opportunities. It's on the Comp International, COPINT.com. And of course, you can always contact you if there's any questions or go to your Bandcamp page, right?
Absolutely.
Jean-Marc Lederman Bandcamp page. Wow, thank you. Thank you, John.
Well,
John,
thank you very much for having me and the other artists in the
always.
project.
Yeah, always happy to see you. Okay, one moment.